Welcome to the Loveland Report and the Lone Ranger Show. I'm Cleve Loveland, Central Florida's best real estate planner, alongside Bruce Woodburn, the Lone Ranger.
That's me.
Giving you all of your mortgage, all of your real estate news every weekend like I've been doing for 30 years. And we're going to dive into a couple things today. Where are sales at for 2024 versus 2025? How far behind are we? When will it turn around? I want to talk about sellers versus buyers. And then also I'm going to dive into investing and people hunting for that unicorn out there. What pays me 30% on my money? We're going to dive into those numbers and exactly what's going on with that.
Those are the deals we're all looking for.
What do you got for us today, Bruce?
Well, first of all, I want all of our listeners out there to know how much we appreciate you listening to our show. Cleve and I are not professional talk show hosts. We are professional real estate experts posing as talk show hosts. But people ask me, why would I use your services over my credit union or my bank or going to Rocket Mortgage or an internet mortgage company? First of all, I'm a national lender. I'm in all 50 states.
Yep.
We're the largest retail lender in the entire country. That means more loans are closed through us than any other retail lender in the entire country, probably the world. We service almost all of our loans. So you don't have to worry about your loan being sold and sold and sold and not know who to make payments to, and then having to fight why your escrow account's wrong. I've been in the business for 35 plus years. I've closed tens of thousands of transactions. Those are reasons people choose me. But here's another reason. When we pre-approve a client, we close that client.
It's done. Yeah.
We close that client. I have a guarantee that if I do not close your loan on time after you've been fully pre-approved by me, I will physically pay you and the seller up to $500 a day for every day we miss the closing.
And you've not done that in the past decade.
Right? I haven't done that in over a decade. I've paid out one time, and by God, that we changed everything to make sure that did not happen. So we close on time, and I can close in as little as 10 days. I've got more loan programs than any other lender in the country.
Yes, you do.
So reasons you should choose us: because we have more, we're faster, we're better, and we're cheaper. What else would you want in a mortgage?
That's right. That's right. Where are we going on rates with no Fed cut last month? How are we settling down?
So we're expecting a Fed cut this month, probably a half a point, I'm going to guess. Okay. I think the rates are already built in. Interest rates have been a little flat, I would say. Their improvement was made about 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
That was when the market decided that the Fed was going to make a Fed cut. So the rates are already built in. Now, will rates get better after the 17th? I think they'll probably get worse for a couple of days, and then they'll settle down. And then as the market thinks of the next Fed meeting, 30 days prior to that, you may see a dip.
And we're 30 days prior right now.
Yep.
So but that Fed cut does not translate directly into mortgage rates.
Not only does it not translate into mortgage rates, it can adversely affect mortgage rates if the stock market rallies, and we're actually seeing a little bit of that combined with some inflation. The inflation numbers were actually up a little higher than they liked, and that, remember, is the arch enemy of the bond market. And that's what drives interest rates back up. And that's why we're not seeing the dip that we'd like to see.
Now, and so you're like, rates were past 9 months. They've been 6 3/4 average.
You're running in the mid sixes right now. So they have definitely improved. And VA and FHA, you can get into the fives.
I got an 800 credit score is a lot different than if I got a 620. And that's why they need to contact you now and get fast tracked, right?
If you have high credit scores, I can literally get you down into the fives if you've got good credit. Now, you'll have to pay a little bit. There may be a little bit of a point or so involved in that. But if you don't want to refinance later, then I can help you with that. And refinances are getting closer. I do want to talk a little bit about that in one of the later segments. But if you have questions for me, for Cleve, all you have to do is give us a call. I can be reached, the Lone Ranger, Bruce Woodburn, at 407-250-9144 or WeBringYouHome.com. If you're looking to buy, refinance, pull equity out of your house, debt consolidation, renovation loan, I'm doing a renovation loan for one of Cleve's clients right now. We're looking at that. New construction, I can build a home for you on your lot. Cleve can find a lot. We can build a custom home. There's all kinds of things we can do. There's no reason to sit on the sidelines right now.
Yep.
And all of the major indicators are starting to raise their voices about appreciation. They think The market makers think that we are on the end of the higher rates and business is going to start increasing.
Yep.
That's going to decrease the amount of inventory. I want you to talk about inventory today, and that's going to give us an opportunity to be able to improve this market.
Yeah, because right now inventory did tick down slightly. We've got like a 5-month supply, Bruce.
Okay.
And what that means, it's not a buyer's market, but if you're a buyer, there's not much pressure to get off the fence. I would, because this is the bottom. I don't know when exactly. I made the mistake of calling it back in January. I was all enthusiastic about the Trumpster getting in there and what was going to happen. And then it turns out the Biden hangovers run into this year with the interest rates, and inflation wasn't transitory and it's going to take a while to get out of it. Then the tariffs. I think all this is going to smooth out. Inventory will start ticking downwards, and it has been the past 2 months.
A little bit.
But what sellers need to do is watch, because they outnumber buyers by about 40%.
Isn't that
So,
crazy?
and it's funny, and about 10% every month give up and throw their hands up in the air going, darn it, I can't do what I want to do. Well, what they need to do is call me, but also they need to watch and be a little more forgiving of what's going on out there. If you've got an offer in front of you close to your list price, let's say 90%, work something out. If the offer comes in at 90% of list price, work something out.
Well, you think about this. Your sellers may have to give up a little more than they would have liked to give up, right?
Yep.
But when they buy, they're getting a little
on the
more
other shoe. So that's why it's important on the real estate plan. What is your plan? Is this house sitting there empty because you've already got your other home? Is this house, something you don't have to sell right now? You could wait. I help people plan that out. I just had a gentleman we were going to list, but he's got a 15-year note and he's got a tenant in the property. And I'm like, hey, I said, you got about 10 of your neighbors for sale within a mile of you. And he's he's not a starter rental. He's not a median price home.
Right.
It's a home in the mid 400s and our median price. And so I said, you're kind of a luxury. You're a good rental, but probably a family will buy this. I said, why not keep collecting the rent? And next year, he literally, without appreciation, he's going to have an extra $15,000 in his pocket because he's got a 15-year note on it.
How many real estate agents out there do you think would tell a seller to
don't
hold
listen
off?
Now. Yeah, don't listen.
Hold off. That's like me. I'm the only lender out there telling clients, don't refinance for debt for a lower payment right now. Wait just a little bit longer. It's going to get better. I literally had to have a firm conversation with one of my past clients because he wanted me to do it right now. And I'm like, I can do it right now, but you're crazy. Don't do it.
Yeah, hang on.
Unless
you're consolidating the motorcycle payment, the boat payment, the car payment, and a couple of credit cards.
Different.
Yeah. And because then your overall payment will drop. But make the same payment and you'll pound the equity in your house and get your house down. But you know what, Bruce? I track the equity in all my real estate every month.
Of course.
I take off the mortgage balance. I check okay, it's going to cost me X to sell it. Even though I'm a realtor, I know what it's going to selling cost. I know what I could liquidate those properties for about right now. But I watch that and I keep track of it. So most realtors are looking for you to sign a contract, but I'll make a plan for you. And if you need a real estate plan, you're wondering about that, call me at 407-352-8118. I just was working with a probate attorney on a couple things, and I had the kids call me from out of state, mom and dad in assisted living now, wondering about the rental. And should they rent or should they buy? I just worked out a plan for them on that. They've got a lot of cash assets. And same thing. I said, hey, hang on for another year. They had a small mortgage. I said, let that mortgage go. Let me rent it out. The house was in perfect shape.
Right.
Updated, nice home, only about 7 years old. And so we're going to rent that. They'll have a good cash flow on it, income for them. Next year, they'll sell it and net probably 10% more than we were talking about this year.
Well, and that's why people choose Cleve Loveland to help list their property, because you're going to give them honest advice. And most real estate agents, they're so dying for just to put a sign in the yard or to have a buyer that will sit in their car, that they'll do whatever it takes. Cleve Loveland, on the other hand, will look at it and say, I think this is the right time, or I think maybe you should hold off for another year and let's make a better plan on this.
And 5 Ds that come into play: the diamonds, diapers, downsize,
divorce,
and death. Yeah. And not in a particular order there, but those are the items that affect what's going on in people's lives. That's what's still happening right now, Bruce. And that's one thing I want to talk about is this right here. We're running between 2024 through I got through July's numbers here. Through July last year, about 17,000 homes sold. Through July of this year, only 15,500 homes sold. Right. So about 15% less on sales, slower. And really, it's just a drag on the economy. People going, because if a buyer sat and waited, Bruce, if they've sat and waited, the price has gone up a little bit. Interest rate, they're kind of waiting for rates to come down, but they haven't budged. but the appreciation is still there on the home. They would have
Absolutely.
made money on that if they bought 3 years ago. So, and in fact, which will lead me into one of my segments. And one of the segments here, I want to talk about investments and people calling me going, well, I don't want to do this if it returns 20% on my money. Okay, we're going to talk
Well,
about
then
the
you'll
actual
never
numbers on
be
it.
an investor.
We'll talk about that and what to look, how to solve that problem. I
Cleve
will help you with
Loveland,
that.
407-352-8118 or cleveloveland.com, or Bruce Woodburn, the Lone Ranger Cross Country Mortgage, 407-250-9144, or go to WeBringYouHome.com, the simplest application site you'll ever see. We can get you approved very, very quickly, and we guarantee an on-time closing, or we will literally compensate you if we miss that closing. We're not going to miss the closing. Cleve, we got a lot to talk about, including the Fed, interest rates. You want to talk about investors. Do you want to hit that in this segment, or do you want to pick that up?
I want to know what's going on, Bruce. I just took about 4 listings up over $1 million. Most likely those will be jumbo loans.
Yes.
What are you seeing on difference with a jumbo? And are you guys doing 90-10s anymore? I want to talk about jumbos.
We'll do a 90%. We'll do a 10% down jumbo. Your interest rates are going to be a little bit higher with a 10% jumbo than a 20% down. Jumbo loans like 20% down. They just do. Here's the difference. Your rate's going to be about the same. It's not going to be much different
from a
conventional loan. It's not much different. Your differences are your debt ratio needs to be lowered. Jumbo loans like a 43 debt ratio, where meaning all your debt, including the new housing payment, is not greater than 43% of your income.
Yep.
And then conventional will go up to 50. Okay. So that's a pretty big spread. That's a 7% spread.
All right. So I'm thinking of that gray area in
also
the 900s
reserves.
to $1 million. Yeah.
Jumbo loans like a lot of cash reserves. So they like you to have a lot more money left in the bank after you close. Some of them are 6 months to 12 months in reserves. So you've definitely got to be aware of that. But jumbo loans, super popular. Very popular. I mean, we do it a lot of jumbo loans. We do most of them internally, where a lot of other lenders broker them out. We don't broker them out. Everything's done in-house.
Yep. What's funny now, 3 years we've been putting up with this Sleepy Joe transitory hangover.
Yep.
And why did Wall Street not come up with an appetite for a 5-1 loan back then? The 5-1 ARMs that would have gotten people 6.5% instead of 7.5% 3 years ago. Why did that not happen?
There was no pooling for it. So I don't know why Wall Street didn't want it.
Okay.
My guess is we have to go back to compression in the market, and they believed that rates were going to fall.
Mm-hmm.
And that if I got you a loan now for 5.75% on a 5-year ARM, and it drops to 5.5% on a 30-year fixed, you're going to pay that ARM off, and then there's going to be an early payoff. And they don't want
so
that.
Just like Jay Powell, they called it wrong.
They called it wrong.
Okay. So, but you don't see those coming at all because rates are
the
settling
only
down.
Ones that are selling ARMs right now, and they're terrible. Don't fall for it. Rates. I don't recommend an ARM truly unless interest rates are above 8%. Then you can start looking at ARMs.
And then what do you see? Like, do we still have as much compression now? The points, what's your average compression? Like they're charging 1 or 2 points on most loans, right?
Well, yeah, I would say between 1 and 2. So I would bet your average is probably 1.5.
Okay.
Now, right now that's starting to shrink a little bit, because if people want to refinance, I'll discourage them from buying too many points.
Yeah.
If they are like, hey, if I can buy that down to 6.25 right now, or in some cases, I was locking loans in the mid 5s last week. So they are available. So a client may say, I'd rather pay you 2 points right now to get a 5.75% rate than end up doing it again in 6 months, hoping that it's going to drop.
Because everybody longs for the days of the 5% rates. I mean, we took them for granted because rates rose so fast. I mean, when was that? 4 years ago? I don't even remember.
Before 2022.
Try and block out that Biden administration from my memory. So with the interest rates where they're at now, well, we'll talk about this when we get back.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
407-352-8118 for Cleve Loveland for your real estate plan. Or if you've got a managed property, you want to become an investor, a leapfrogger, or you need to sell or buy a house, give me a call.
Yeah, or the Lone Ranger Cross Country Mortgage, Bruce Woodburn, one of the top producers in the entire nation, in your backyard, 407-250-9144, or WeBringYouHome.com. We'll be right back.